You're not finna think about you out, bro. I'm not even finna talk to y'all. I'm not letting you know where I'm going. I'm out. If I lose my job, I lose my job. I don't care.
Yeah.
There will soon be a decision reached on whether the Supreme Court of the United States, SCOTUS, will overturn Roe v. Wade, which was a landmark decision of the SCOTUS in which the court ruled that the Constitution protects a pregnant woman's liberty to choose to have an abortion without excessive governmental restriction. The decision struck down many U.S. federal and state abortion laws. So obviously this decision has been in effect for quite some time, since the 50s, and is clearly a hotly debated subject in our country. Now, while there are many women out there who feel frustrated by the idea that this decision may be overturned soon, I still find it to be a discussion worth having, being that most of these issues tend to have long-term repercussions. But before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel and tap on the bell to be notified of all the latest content as soon as it drops. So, fellas, what's going on? Welcome back for the first episode in a long time. What's going on?
Yo.
What the hell is good, man? It feels good to be back.
Feels good to be back, huh?
A lot of shit done happened.
Facts. So as I kind of introed, this pro-life, pro-choice thing. Jerry, I want to start it with you. Are you pro-life or are you pro-choice?
Wow. I'm gonna say I am pro-choice. I believe that women, specifically, obviously, because it's tailored to women, I believe that women should have the ability to say, hey, I want to do this with my body, or I don't want to do this with my body. And I don't feel like, one, as a man, and one, as a human being, and two, as a man, that I have the ability to say, hey, let me regulate what you got going on based upon what I believe, or whatever the case may be, just solely because I don't have children. I don't know what it's like to go through that. I don't know what it's like to carry a baby for 9 months and all the shit that come with it, all the things that come with it. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I feel like, hey, I want you to do what you want to do. If that's what listen, if you like it, I love it.
Gotcha. E, what about you?
I'm gonna have to say I'm pro-choice, and I say that because the same thing. As far as I'm not a woman, I'm not the one carrying the baby. So it's not in my position as far as to say what you should do with your body. And I feel like it will affect the low income, middle class, lower class, rather than the upper class. Because we all know it's two sides of America, which is for a different, a different episode. But how lower class and middle class get treated than upper class is very different. So if you have a low income house, right, and we're talking maybe unknowingly or knowingly, was it put in a situation to where now she's pregnant, and knowingly she knows it's not the right time, but then she's revoked from taking care of the responsibility. So now she's stuck with it, even though she knows what she wants to do with it. I feel like you're basically handicapping a gender, really. So I'm gonna have to say pro-choice.
Okay. And Dom, let's go ahead and finish it up with you. What are you, pro-choice or pro-life?
So on this topic, I honestly believe that both ways on this can be right, simply because there's a lot of things that you have choice in, but there's a lot of things that you should not have choice in if you're not going to take responsibility in your choice. So the issue is a two-headed dragon of, yeah, I'll give you the choice of being able to, not have a baby or have the baby, but also at the same time, who's responsible for that baby if you do have it and then you don't take care of it? So there's a lot that goes into it. And I believe, we should be able to allow people to have choice, but we also should be able to regulate the type of choice the consequences for the choice that you make, because I also believe that there's a financial aspect of it that people don't think of, that's put on the government, that's put on you as a taxpayer. That's not brought up. It's more of an emotional argument of, well, I should be able to have a baby and you shouldn't be able to tell me why I should or shouldn't have a baby, when it's like, well, didn't the man have a part of it too? What if that man decided that he didn't want that kid? Does he get an obligation in it? No. So, you want pro-choice, you're going to have to live with the consequence of your choice and be able to go, well, if I have this choice, I also have to be able to go, these are what the country allows with this choice. But that's muddy water to try to figure out who should say, what the choices are and all that thing, but yeah. So
just to be clear, you are pro-choice.
I'm not either or on that, because I don't believe that there's a good way to, have this discussion without saying, hey, if you're going to pick this one, there's the bad side that you have to accept with it. I think everyone wants, well, if we're going to go pro-choice, it's only the good parts of it. If you go pro-life, it's only, the good parts of it. It's like, no. If you go pro-life, these are the other sides of the consequences. If you go pro-choice, this is the other side. You have to present the whole argument.
Right. Got you. Okay. So, you're kind of in the middle. And
yeah, I'm indecisive. I can say I'm indecisive.
Sure. I can. This is Jerry. So before I get into my own thoughts on it, Jerry, let's go back to you quickly. Are there any instances where an abortion is not okay?
Instances where an abortion is not okay.
That's a tough one, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of tough. That's real sticky right there, because it's like, when can you say that the baby's not? It's not okay to have a baby. You know
When
what I'm
is
saying?
it? Let's just say what it is. When is it okay to say I can kill my baby? That's really the question.
I think that if people say that, hey, we had sex, and okay, this is an example, right? Willie, you said when it is okay to. Okay, so when somebody may have been, that's what you say, Willie?
Are there any instances when an abortion is not okay?
Not okay, where it's
Being
like
that you're
deemed wrong.
pro-choice, right? You're pro-choice. That means you think that women should have the choice to decide what they do with their body. If they want to get an abortion, they should have the freedom and ability to go and do so.
Right.
And I should just quickly preface and say I believe the same. I think women should be able to do with their body what they choose to do. Now you said because they're pro-choice. I'm asking you, are there any instances where an abortion is it's not okay to get an abortion? Even though you're a woman, you can choose what you want, except for these particular situations.
That's a good question. I think on that one, where it's not okay to have an abortion, I don't have an example for that.
Okay,
I'm
so
gonna
you
call
pretty
it a
much think
lifeline.
a woman should be able to get an abortion whenever she chooses to get an abortion.
I think that, to be honest, I think it should be a collective decision between man and woman, if that's the case, which is
Let's assume in
right.
the situation there's no man involved, it's just the
No,
woman.
man and woman, if she wants to get an abortion, she should be able to get it. Yeah, I think that she should be able to get it if that's what she wants.
Any situations, right?
Yes, in any situations.
E, what about you? You think the same?
I'm gonna have to disagree, because if I feel like it should be some type of what word am I looking for? Some type of mediation in the middle, basically, to come to an understanding. Because if say you're in a relationship, right? You get the girl pregnant, you get the girl pregnant, and she's like, well, I already know we were basically going our separate ways. I know I don't want to have this baby with you, but the male is like, well, I want my child, you know what I'm saying? Because that's part of me. It took two to make that baby, you know what I'm saying? You just carry it and do 60-40, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I feel like you're
60-40 still gives her the ability to go and make that decision. So I want to before you go too far down that rabbit hole, I want to quickly point out, because you did say that you're pro-choice. So it's the woman's decision to decide what she does, despite what the man, and that's why I'm asking the question, in what situations is it not okay to have
when the man wants the baby?
When is it
when the man wants the baby?
That's it. That's
in an established relationship.
Time out. Let me time out. Hold on. Like I did with Jerry, let's remove a man from the situation. Let's just say it's solely the woman's choice. Only the woman's choice. Are there any situations you can think of where it might be not okay to have an abortion?
I mean, I want to go with the laws that was in place after a certain amount of months when the baby is formed, and it's like a health hazard on the women and, you know what I'm saying, the baby. If you were to go in and I don't know the procedures, you know what I'm saying? So I'll be
you're saying after a certain amount of time, though.
Yeah, after a certain amount of time when the baby is formed, like present day or before this happened, where it's like, yo, we have to go in there and chop stuff up and suck it out. I feel like that's too late. So after the baby is formed within the womb, I feel like it'd be too late for an abortion. You know what I mean? If that's what you're asking me, as far as when do you feel like it's too late?
I'm pretty much just asking, like, exactly that. Are there instances that you can think of, yes, that are like exactly that? Women should have their choice up into a certain point, right? And that's what I believe. Jerry, do you? I mean, I know you said you don't. You said that there's no instances where an abortion is not okay. Women should be able to choose and get that anytime she wants. Should a woman get to choose at any point in time, I want to get this abortion?
No, I think that I agree with you. There has to be a time frame where it's like, check it out, like by this, like pretty much by the fetus is now no longer a fetus person. I guess it's a fetus until it comes out, but I guess whatever. For you medical people out there, I'm sorry, but you know what I'm saying? You feel me? But after like 4 months, from the time you conceived to 4 months where you starting to poke, if you starting to poke, it ain't no starting, baby. It's over. You got to go ahead and have that baby. You didn't had 120 days to figure out if you want to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't finna go chop up this baby now.
Yeah.
Like, we're not about to do that.
Yeah. All right. So Jerry, essentially what you were last saying was that women should be able to choose at any point should not be able to choose at any point in time. There comes a time when enough's enough, bitch. You need to have this baby.
Yeah, you can't be saying that 7 months pregnant, like, oh, I don't want to have no more change of thoughts.
Right.
My baby daddy didn't live through it.
Right. So y'all heard everything that was going on about, like, oh, like Texas ain't allowing women the right and the ability to go like get their abortions, right? Like making it illegal, right? Before we get to that, I quickly do want to touch on this. And I think you guys already did, but just so we're clear, should men ever have a say into when women are having an abortion? And when is that say? When should that say be?
I say the minute you find out that the woman's pregnant and she's trying to decide what to do, the man has to have a decision right then and there, and they have to talk, mediate, whatever you have to do, figure out what y'all want to do then. So it's not a ongoing, "Ooh, I just made a decision all of a sudden."
So if she, for instance, she decides at the beginning, yes, I'm having this baby. I love you. You're my man. 7 months in, let's not say 7, let's say a few months in, a couple months in, all of a sudden she's getting cold feet. She's talking about, I don't trust this dude.
We already agreed.
Okay, so you think that now she should be forced to have that child, even if she realizes that that dude been cheating on her, that dude did some things behind her back that she didn't agree and trust. Like, she should be forced to have that baby?
I don't say forcing anything. You could do whatever you want.
But so then how does the man have say in that regard?
I think he should have some type of consequential say. If I said I wanted to have the kid, she said I wanted to have the kid, and then all of a sudden she changed her mind later. There should be some type of consequence for that if she decided to go and get an abortion without, us both agreeing on it.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Because so the reason because Jerry had said earlier, he was saying like, women should be able to, make these choices. This is at the very beginning. Women should be able to make their choices. I, as a man, am not having that child. I shouldn't be able to say when you don't have that baby, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've kind of gotten your guys's, perspectives, and I wanted to make sure that I got those first before I started to address with my own. So my thing is obviously, I'm sure you guys can probably tell, is like I'm halfway in the middle, a little bit more on the side of pro-life. The only instances I think are the extremes, are when you should have an abortion. And this is just these are my personal opinions, right? Everybody's different. But I think when it's an extreme, and I always say, what's an extreme? Well, let's say that the baby is putting the woman's life in danger, right? The fetus is putting the woman's life in danger, and aborting the baby is the only way to save her life. I would say, let's go ahead and abort the baby. That's where I'm okay with it. Obviously, rape. Now, with rape and also incest is obviously automatically like, yo, that was like, we can get rid of that. Rape has to be it has to be done in a certain amount of time, right? Because this kind of plays into another topic we'll talk about in another video. But with like the Me Too movement, there were a lot of women who were saying, I didn't feel comfortable coming out and you know what I mean? Like I didn't have, the confidence, whatever it is. And so I didn't say anything, right? But you got raped, you got pregnant, and now you're having to have this child, and it's 6 or 7 months later, and all of a sudden you're saying, no, I don't want to have this baby. I didn't realize I was pregnant, right? Or whatever the case may be. I think you should have to have that baby if you reach a certain point. What is that certain point for me? There's a heartbeat law here in Texas, and that, will play into the next point that we'll touch on. But the 6-week heartbeat bill that's being introduced by Texas is exactly that. You have 6 weeks, that's around the time when a heartbeat forms. And when there's a heartbeat, there's life, right? I think we can all agree that a heartbeat is life.
Yeah.
Right. There's fingers, there's toes, there's eyes, there's, all these things that start to determine who you are as a person at that time.
Heart starts beating.
Right. So it shouldn't be much past that point, or even at that point when you can just be like, okay, now I'm going to take the life of another human being. Right. Because now that's murder. Any point before then, it's really like, yo, it's not really, it's like kind of in the middle, right? Some people are like, no, it's soon as it's conception. I'm not that huge on it. I get it. Sometimes people make some mistakes. I get it. Right. So there should be some instances where it's okay.
There's just an aspect of taking away you have to be able to live with, hey, I made a decision here. Yes, there are the extremes, but those are not the majority of the cases. The majority of the cases are one-on-one. Hey, we had this type of interaction. I don't like that person, or, I don't want to be with that person. Now I have this decision to make. And that decision should have been made way before you were even making that intercourse with that person. And yes, we do have sex for fun.
Yeah.
And there is so much protection. And yes, there is protection for men and women. So there is consequence on both sides when you don't have that man having protection and your own protection. So, I mean, it's just, yeah.
All right. now that I've kind of shared my thoughts on the pro-life, pro-choice, we all have kind of shared our thoughts on it. Does anybody want to add anything else? I think we all kind of got everything off our chest. You guys good? All right.
Facts.
Right.
All right. I want to move on to the next topic, which is along the lines. What are your thoughts on the overturning of Roe v. Wade? So again, as I had mentioned in the beginning, Roe v. Wade was a decision made by the Supreme Court where essentially women were given full rights or essentially they can make their choice as to when they get their abortions, whatever. The government can't, intervene. So I want to first start off by asking, I'll start with you. Are you for, or first I should ask, like, are you like, what's your understanding of the Roe v. Wade aside from what I've kind of introduced?
I feel like that's with the abortion, correct?
Yeah, like, are you familiar with like kind of what it is?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so are you for it or are you against it? For the
I'm against-
overturning, are you for the overturning of Roe v. Wade or are you against the overturning of Roe v. Wade?
I'm against the overturning of Roe versus Wade.
Okay, and why?
I feel like that's just opening up a can of worms that I thought we already have passed. You know what I'm saying? Like the laws was placed in order to elevate. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's just taking a step backwards. And then with a step backwards, that's like, what else are we finna go look into the past and see what we can overturn just because some people, you know what I'm saying, are in those positions to do so. So I feel like we're going backwards as a country if we overturn something that was placed in order for us to advance as a country.
To move forward. Got you.
But where do you feel, just to ask for clarification here, where do you feel like Roe v. Wade advanced for us?
I feel like pro-life, you feel me?
The movement for
rights.
pro-life, for the rights for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pro-choice.
Yeah, pro-choice.
Pro-choice,
Yeah. Got what you're
So,
saying.
Jerry, quickly, are you for what? Well, let me ask you too. What's your understanding of Roe v. Wade? Are you very familiar with it at all, or just kind of what I've introduced?
Ultimately, that a woman should be able to have the ability to decide if she wants to have an abortion without having government involved in saying like, hey, you can't do these reasons. You know what I'm saying? Whatever these reasons are, whether you're poor, whether whatever the fuck you don't qualify, whatever the fuck you want to have this abortion, okay, we're not going to intervene and say you can't have it.
Right. So, are you for or against the overturning of Roe v. Wade?
I'm not for it. I'm against the overturning.
You're against the overturning, so you want them to leave it as is currently.
I would like it to be as such.
Got you. Okay. And then Dom, what about you?
I would say I'm for it.
You're for the overturning, okay? And
Yes, I'm
why
for
is
the
that?
overturning because there needs to be a revamping of the law, simply because the basis of how it was founded and what the implications of the law truly means to society. It's a big topic that we have to unmuddy the waters of. I guess that's the best way to say it. If you know the background of it, it was based on a lie, and once the lie was found out, the law wasn't changed, and now people are still trying to argue for something that didn't really happen. And it's hard as a person who's been accused of rape and it was a false accusal for me to hear things like that and go, damn, we based a whole ass, law that people truly will fight and die for off of false accusations.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. Based on your understanding, what will happen, Dom, is for you, based on your understanding, what will happen if that decision is overturned? Like what will be the outcome, in practice if that?
You'll find a lot of states doing what they're doing right now. It's going to be a lot of individual choice on how they handle things. And then will find a lot of people moving from state to state to get what they need done, just like if you had to go to another country to get a procedure done. We're going to have refugee states. I guess that's the best way to say it for if you need an abortion, and it's going to suck. But until both sides are able to figure out, and I mean political sides are able to figure out what's the best solution for this, and who knows what that true plan is. I'm not the guy for that. I'm just someone who sees the problem and I can logically go, well, this is the issue. Now, if y'all getting paid to figure it out, here's the parts and plans to it. Y'all need to figure it out.
Okay. So now quickly, Jerry, let me go back to you real quick. What is your, based on your understanding of Roe v. Wade, and you not wanting to or you being against the overturning of it, what will happen if it was to be overturned? And quickly, sorry, let me also mention, because I didn't mention this at the top, that decision will be coming actually this coming Monday, the following Monday from when we're recording. That decision will be coming down. So this is actually very like pertinent information. But go ahead, sorry, continue.
I think that if it is overturned, I think that it might cause people to fight back, might start somewhat of a rebellion, for a lack of a better term, maybe a lesser version of that. You know what I'm saying? It might cause
Feminist riot.
you know what I'm saying? It might start different type of movements saying like, hey, let's try to overthrow that or whatever the case may be, like this women group or whatever the case. It might start to form different groups of people that might start acting in certain ways that might not be conducive to operating society based upon us not being able to take these. You're taking our rights away and we don't like that. So now we're going to do something about it. That can be a result of this overturning if it goes against.
So, okay, got you. So now let me figure out how to say it. So with the overturning of the decision, do you think that what do you think the actual decision, like what that will mean for the society, right? Not like what because you kind of outlined what the ramifications are. Like people are going to start to riot. They're going to feel like their rights are being taken from them, right? You're kind of saying what are going to be the consequences in a way, or the ramifications. But I'm asking what is like the actual outcome of the decision being overturned? Like what happened? What gets put into place?
Can I just come in and say what I think on that?
Well, hold on, because I'd ask you first, but I want to get one of these guys first.
What will happen because of the decision? Well, if the decision is overturned, I think that will happen is that now people will either have to start being more. So let me ask: is the decision strictly for Texas, or is it it's for Texas only, right?
No, Supreme Court of the United States. So it's
okay, got you. So yeah, I believe that if they overturn it and it goes against, if it goes against it, then I think that causes something like the child. I can't necessarily put it into words, but like people now starting to have babies in situations where they don't necessarily want to. It might start to affect the economy a certain way because of that, and it starts to trickle from. But see, this is the thing about that though. Kind of what you were saying before. It'll only start to. I'm not gonna say only, but it'll start to affect majorly the middle low class families because of a lack of resources, a lack of knowledge, whatever the case may be, whatever it may be, that might be something that starts.
Okay.
So yeah.
So I don't want to get too far off topic, but I do want to just quickly address something that you just said, which is that if this were to be overturned, it would affect low income communities. Am I right? That's kind of like along the lines of what you're saying. So I think the thing with that line of thinking, particularly like that argument, is that it's leaving out the fact that there are alternatives to abortions, right? And a couple of those are abstinence, right? Not having any sex at all. Obviously you could do other forms of sex. The point of what I'm trying to say is like abortion, that you can do adoption, right? You can adopt it. You can put your kid up for adoption. There's other ways to go about it without having to necessarily kill a person.
Yeah, it's going to force people to have to really make decisions that are uncomfortable decisions and things that people don't want to talk about. And that's why having pro-choice is so easy for a lot of people, because it's like, well, if I just have the choice to be able to do whatever, you can't judge me. And it's like, we probably gonna get back to that judging society in a minute.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's, a big, and again, I don't want to get too far off topic because I do want to keep it moving, but it's just to say that like the argument that something like this could have an effect on a particular group of people, I think is a little misguided, because it does leave out the fact that there are alternatives to even having an abortion in the first place, right? So now to get back on track here is, Dom, you were going to interject when I was asking about.
You hit my point.
Okay, cool. So was that about the like other forms of like?
Yeah, because I knew, I kind of felt that's where you were going, and I was like, boy, I want to hit that before we get lost in the weeds.
Yeah. All right, cool. So now to bring it back though is, do you, before I get into what I think are kind of like the ramifications or what's the outcome coming from the overturning, I want to ask you guys, do you think things should be uniformed? Like, do you guys, just everyday society, do you guys think things should be uniform, or do you think things should kind of be adjusted accordingly? E, let me start with you.
In what aspect? What do you mean?
So like what I mean by that is like, should things be, if it's one way over here, it should be the same thing over here, right? If I do it one way over on this side, if I tie my shoes, if I tie my left shoe first, and I live on the east side of town, on the west side of town, we should also tie our shoes left shoe first. Or do you think that it should be based accordingly? Perhaps somebody only has one foot and that foot's their right foot, so technically they have to tie their right shoe first, right? Do you think that things should be uniform, or are you a believer that things should be we should adjust them accordingly?
I feel like we should adjust them
dynamic. things should be
Yes.
dynamic. What about you, Jerry?
I think accordingly.
Dom?
Same, accordingly.
So the reason I asked that question is it goes back to what will happen if the decision is to be overturned, right? Currently, the Supreme Court of the United States, Dom mentioned it, is federal, right? Roe v. Wade is a federal decision, right? Now, federal means all 50 states must comply. Everything must be uniform, right? Whereas if it's down to the state level, things can be adjusted accordingly based on that particular state and how those voters feel, right? So when I'm asking you guys what the outcome of the overturning of Roe v. Wade is, the answer to that is actually that the decision for abortions will go down to the state level. It will no longer be federal, right? And this is important because a lot of people have a misguided understanding of the overturning of Roe v. Wade and what that means, right? Because they think that it's saying that women aren't going to have rights. They're not going to be able to go and get abortions. It's not saying that. It's simply saying if in your state, for instance, here in Texas, our voters feel that at 6 weeks, right, 6 to 9 weeks, whenever that heartbeat hits, you can't go get an abortion anymore. Too late. You missed your opportunity, right? You missed the boat. Whereas in states like I want to say it's like Colorado or Vermont, or not Vermont, Virginia, is you can get an abortion up to 9 months.
Woo!
My nigga, the baby's popping out the womb. What you mean? But you can get an
Whoa.
abortion up to 9 months.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That's murder.
That's crazy. That's murder, bruh. That's straight homicide. And the thing is y'all niggas didn't know that before we just started having this conversation, I'm sure, right? I didn't know that before I started having conversations and listening and tuning into what's going on. But the problem is that because people base their shit on, are you pro-choice or are you pro-life? If you're pro-choice, then you should be on our side. You're pro-life, you should be on that side. This is why I wanted to start the conversation a certain way. I didn't want to just bring it into, what are your thoughts on this? And not have it be structured. It has to get to this particular point for me to make the bigger point, which is that if you just allow states to do what they want, now you can see, yo, what are they doing over there? You're murdering people in your state? That ain't cool. I don't think I want to go move out there. Maybe you're gonna hear proponents of that state. It's gonna have you looking at people like, yo, that's what you believe. You think people should be being murdered at 9 months in the womb? Like, they could, you know what I'm saying? This shit's crazy. But nevertheless,
Wow.
like I said, this is the point that I wanted to get to, right? So now I think we have a common understanding. What do you guys think about that? Is there anything like, obviously,
Abortions is crazy. That's what I think. What the hell?
I think that, well, like I already said, I think that chopping the baby up at a certain age is not okay.
Right. So now what are your thoughts on it though? Assuming everything that I'm telling you is correct, assuming it's all right, there's no, misinformation in there, no BS. How do you feel now?
I stand on the fact that I think Roe v. Wade being overturned is good then, because it just allows individual states to make decisions so that you can't. I think individual states should have the right to choose. So a person can go, I live in this state because they do this.
Yep, exactly.
Well, if now that I have a clear understanding, if that's what that means, if the overturning means that now states can pick and choose or whatever, versus
it being one standard
outlawed, it's just outlawed across the country.
It's not that it's outlawed. It's that across the country, there's one conformed way of doing it.
You have pro-choice.
And not every state agrees with that way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
so let the states decide that issue, right? That's an issue that the states should be able to decide for their own, because in my home state now, Texas, it's different than your home state in California, right? And so the way that the law is set up is more for California and not for Texas. And Texas is like, yo, no, we're not gonna, because you got to think, if Texas implements some things to say like, yo, like if a doctor does not agree with the way that it is federally, right? Doctors in Texas are like, no, we don't want to perform abortions. But now a pregnant woman's coming in 6 months pregnant, talk about you got to take this baby on me. Yo, what the fuck? I don't want to help do that shit. Do you see where I'm getting at?
Yeah, totally.
We have to allow the states to decide this issue particularly, and that's what the overturning of Roe v. Wade is. It's allowing the states to decide their shit. So now that we got that out the way, glad that some minds were blown. I hope that if you're watching this, blown, and if it is, feel free to like, subscribe.
Subscribe to this motherfucker.
That button.
But look, we got one more thing to dive into real quick, and this is more of like an open discussion. It's not really meant to be like, I'm not trying to get to any point particularly, but how much do you guys each value integrity? And what I mean by that is like, how much do you value people who do the right thing, or even yourselves doing the right thing when no one else is watching? E,
I
what?
think integrity is key.
Okay.
But go ahead, E.
Yeah, I feel the same way. That's like number one. You feel me? That starts because integrity starts with yourself. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? You don't got to go looking for integrity. That starts within. So
Yeah.
if you could hold it down and be big on it, you know what I'm saying? Then that's just going to basically roll over to whoever you in contact with, you know what I'm saying? Just because of how you look at it, you know what I'm saying? And you hold yourself to a standard.
Yep. Got you. Okay. Jared, go ahead, because you were chomping at the bit there.
I think that integrity is definitely key for sure. I think that if you don't have integrity, then how, integrity and trust is almost in the same category to an extent. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you don't have integrity, if I can't trust you to do right by when I'm not looking, then I can't trust you. Like, I can't trust you to do right when I'm not looking. So therefore, in turn, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, so no, if you don't have integrity, like a doctor, like or a lawyer, like, if I'm paying you because I'm expecting you to do me right, even though I'm not in your face saying, "Hey, lawyer," while we're having this conversation. No, I need you to go out into the streets and do that thing. Or a police officer, you solving a murder case, XYZ. I need you to go knock on some doors, bruh. Like, I need you to do that versus just telling me, "Oh, you working over the phone." I need you to be, you know what I'm saying? That's the integrity part.
Yeah. 100%. Okay. Don, what about you? You think
for the sake of not saying the same things, I definitely agree with y'all on that one.
and I will echo that. I think integrity is, one of the most fundamental aspects of a trustworthy person. It's something that, Jerry, you hit it on the head. It's what helps to establish trust, is knowing that, you said this is like, it starts with you. If you're showing integrity, and you know that you're doing the right thing, fuck what anybody else got to say, fuck what anybody else is doing, you're doing you. And I think that's noble, right? Now, obviously, I'm not just gonna, all right, y'all, take it easy, have a good one, end of the podcast off of some integrity shit. It's like, why the fuck is Willie bringing up integrity at the end of this conversation about Roe v. Wade? So, for those of you who don't know, there were a bunch of riots. There were a bunch of protests. I don't want to say riots. I'm sorry. There were protests. Protests. I don't know how peaceful they were, but there were, demonstrations because of this Roe v. Wade overturning of the decision. Now, mind you, a little earlier, I mentioned that this is not coming. The decision is going to be coming on Monday. It's Friday. Well, for me, it's Friday, June 10th. For y'all, it's still Thursday. But this decision is not coming for 2 or 3 more days, right? So how were they demonstrating? The demonstrations happened weeks ago, back in early May 2nd, I believe, right? How did that happen? How did this all become a thing? And apparently, the decision was leaked from this Supreme Court, from the offices or the justice, however you would describe that. This information was leaked. Now, this, in my opinion, I don't know about y'all, but I think this is extremely troubling, right? Extremely troubling, because the Supreme Court of the United States is supposed to be like the pinnacle of trust and security. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to be able to trust these people to make decisions that affect all of us in the legal justice system, right? Like, there's a tremendous amount of trust that we put into it. And for there to be a leak is not very good. It's not very good at all, because that says if there's a leak there, where else could there possibly be leaks from? And who are those leaks? And who are they leaking the information to? And why are they leaking the information? Because here's the thing. They knew that if they leaked the information, it would cause an uproar, right? And because it causes an uproar, people start reacting. They're not thinking, right? Soon as you get hit with some crazy ass news, Jerry, you got a son, right? Let's hypothetically say that you get hit with some news while you at work talking about hey, Mr. Cooper, your son's in the hospital. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna sit there and think, well, I got 3 hours left in my shift, I guess I better wait it out here, or else if I leave, I'll get fired? You're not finna think about shit.
Yeah.
Nigga, you out, bro. I'm not even finna talk to y'all. I'm not letting you know where I'm going. I'm out. If I lose my job, I lose my job. I don't care. My son's in the hospital.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to react. That's how people are. When they hear something that strikes them, they will react. They won't think, they will react. And that's what most of us do. Most of us on this show today, right now, have reacted before thinking. And so, again, I wanted to structure the conversation in a way so we could clearly define what these things mean, how we feel about them, why we feel about them the way that we do. And then we can talk about, what is not what's right or what's wrong, but what's more like, I don't know the word. I don't know how the word to describe it, but just how do we get to a point of understanding? You know what
common
I mean?
ground.
How do we get to that common ground? Right. And And I think, like I said, there's some shit we're gonna talk about in later episodes, but to end it there is you know,
You shoot up the club. Be ready for the consequences.
you ready for the consequences. All right. So y'all got anything else?
If you're looking for Frenchies, go ahead and look up on IG. We have heavy /weight / Frenchies.
This one.
/ Frenchies.
Oh,
And you
shit.
can look at Apollo, the Frenchie Creed. So again, that's at Apollo, the Frenchie Creed. If you're looking,
You got it all at your system? You good? You good right there? Okay, cool. Because that's
Yeah,
gonna
Hint for sale, hint for store.
that's gonna get edited out either way.
All right, come on.
All right,
Come on,
y'all. That does it for this one. All right. All right, y'all. That does it for this one. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. Whether you enjoyed this video or not, agreed or disagreed with anything that was said, be sure to let us know down in the comments below. We appreciate all feedback and would love to hear what you guys and girls think, especially the girls. If you did have an opinion and would like to see more from us, hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified of all the latest content as soon as it drops. I'm Willie G. Thanks for tapping into the Ignorant Intellect. And on behalf of the rest of the crew, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.